at the end of my postulancy year, he gave me a gift. He gave me one of his shirts. It says like Philippines because he went to the
Oh,
Philippines to give a class at
Oh,
the
wow.
Friars there, but it has like blood stains and holes in it. At one point, I asked God, like, Lord, just let me get fired from my work. I want to make sure that all the decisions I make is properly calculated. So I went through five vocation
It's a good
directors.
way of putting it.
yeah.
Yeah, 10 years of
Did you create a
discerning.
line of code?
I
How do I
did. I
discern?
tried. I tried. You know what? That's a good idea.
So I've heard that for the internet, the most important thing to get famous is that you need to answer really stupid questions with strong opinions. So, Tito, I have some important questions for you. Is
And
a
I,
hot dog a sandwich?
oh, I have strong opinions. Yes, a hot dog is a sandwich, unequivocally.
Okay. Is water wet?
Water gives the transient property of wetness. Therefore, it is wet.
Is cereal soup?
If gazpacho is soup, then cereal is soup.
Sure. Do straws have two holes or one?
Since it is a cylinder, it is a single extended hole.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you
Pineapple on
dig a
pizza.
hole into the ground, you're not counting it as like it's one hole because it continues. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but
It
if
just
it's
has
100 miles long, wouldn't you count the top and the bottom one as two holes?
it just has two openings. It's one hole with two openings.
Okay. Pineapple on pizza.
I'm okay with it. I know people hate it.
Okay. And
I
finally,
enjoy it.
how do you pronounce the word GIF?
I say Jif.
Oh, well, you were so close to being perfect,
Ah,
but you got the last one wrong.
I don't care.
Well, sometimes you just got to be controversial. You got to stir things up, have the strong opinions about
Yep.
things that don't matter. That's what America is built on. It is also built on wonderful people like we're interviewing today, people who are artists, people who are preachers, people who have gone where the word has sent them. And by word, I mean the provincial. Hasn't always picked everywhere he's gone, but has done
Right.
extraordinary things everywhere he's been. We'd love to welcome to the show Father Michael Reyes. Michael, welcome.
Thank you. And for the record, pizza with pineapple is the bomb.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Filipino. I have to love it.
No,
So
Right.
sure. Yeah. Who doesn't love, I mean, pineapple and meat? Put it
e-
together. It's delicious.
It's
exactly, and we
great.
put ham in it, and we call it Hawaiian
Mhm.
pizza, actually. So
That's right.
that's pizza for
There you
us.
go. Exactly. hmm So, Michael, where
Yes,
are you living these days? You have been bouncing around. You just moved into a new place.
I am. So actually, a few months ago, our obedience notice came out, and
Hmm.
if you read it, I'm actually assigned now in St. Petersburg, Florida, the
Hmm.
Sunshine State. The funny thing is, when that note came out, my cell phone was on fire. People calling me and asking me, "Are you okay? What's happening? Are you sick? Are you retiring? Why are you going? Why are you going to the retirement home?" And I just, I chose to live in the community of a bigger number of friars, and I'm
Hmm.
actually ministering at the Franciscan Center here in Tampa, Florida.
For those at home, yeah, St. Petersburg is not a destination for a man of Michael's age. Even though he's got some wisdom in his hair here, he is not that old. He is an active member, only just a few years ahead of me,
Hmm.
but it is the retirement home. And so it was a bit of a surprise. That's where you send guys if they're sick, if
Right.
they've gotten in trouble, if they need a place for retreat. And this was not any place that we expected Michael. So
Right.
we're glad to hear you're okay.
I'm okay,
Yes.
and I'm not retiring yet. Health wise, I'm good, but it's a choice. I always enjoyed living in a bigger community. I think that's our calling as friars, and you learn so much when you live with much senior friars.
Hmm. I'm sure everyone's super glad to hear that you're not sick and also that you're not retiring because it still feels like you're fairly early on in your Franciscan journey. I mean, as a solemnly professed friar, right? Yeah, I mean, you came to us like Casey said, just a few years ahead of us. You were in George Camacho's class, and it's been a bit of a ride. You're just kind of getting started in terms of ministry. What was the journey like for you?
It's been good so far. I know Casey mentioned about how it's all about I'm always listening or following whatever I'm asked to do. It's partly true. There's always a conversation in between, but I end up, like, okay, let's try that. George Camacho is actually a year behind me, so I'm
A
much
year behind
older
you.
than George Camacho. Um, so
So much
say
older.
for the
I wasn't
record,
going to
there you
mention
go.
that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, journey so far, uh, we were the first class over in Boston,
Mhm.
Massachusetts. We were the first postulancy class there. It used to be at the Bronx. And again, that's something new, but we were asked to, you know, go to Boston for our program. And it started out, people are kind of questioning it because, again, it's a bigger house for postulancy. There were more senior friars there than younger friars, and they were afraid that it would discourage younger vocations or us to pursuing our calling. But again, for me, it becomes a year of really a lot of blessings of learning from the senior friars and really being grateful for all they've they've done to the order, to the province.
Yeah, in most of the places you've lived in Boston, you've lived in New York, you've lived in Tampa, you've lived in other part of New York. You've been around a lot of older guys.
Mhm.
And so I wonder what that's like for someone just coming in, your postulancy, and then going throughout your life. You're living with octogenarians. I think for most of our world, that would be not great. That would be boring. That would be, oh my gosh, these are people are so uncool. Has
Right.
that been your experience?
Well, they're interesting because I remember the first time I was in Boston, right? And I, I had a career in New York, quit my job and joined the Friars, moved into Boston, and here I am in a house about 22 guys. Some of them are active, some are retired. And I think the best thing that the Guardian at that time did, David Convertino, was that he assigned a senior friar that we're supposed to be taking care of, that we're responsible for. So I have brother Dominic.
Oh, that's
I know.
cute.
It's like, you're responsible for your brother.
Here's my
Uh,
adopted grandfather.
there you go. Take it. And I have brother Dominic Finneran, his old school brother. He's blind, almost blind at that time. So you could see me like running after him in the hallway, making sure that he knows where he's going. But you learn from him. You learn humility from him. Like one time, I asked him if he needs anything. And it's not like we take care of them 24/7, but you run errands for them and stuff. So I asked him if he needs anything, and he said he needed slippers, new slippers. So I asked him, what size do you wear? And he said 6.5. And I look at his feet and I'm like, there's no way that those are 6.5. So I just said, okay, brother. I went to Macy's, got him a pair of slippers. There was actually 8, and they fit. And so it's
Sure.
simple things like that. And
Mhm.
when you help him in his room, you see how simple things he has, a few pair of clothes and stuff like that. So it grounds you. And I had that from the very beginning. And so it just it helped me throughout my formation and becoming a friar. Yeah. Funny story. One time there was when I was a postulant, an older senior friar moved in with us. I didn't know who he was. But Father David says, Michael, Father Charlie Finnegan is coming to live with us. He used to be a former provincial. So I was thinking,
Giant,
oh,
yeah.
Mhm.
big
Used to run the
friar.
world.
Right.
Exactly. I'm expecting, maybe a trailer or a big moving company moving into Boston. So I was called to go down to help him move his stuff, and I opened the door, and Father Ron Pecci was moving him from Wilmington. And literally, he had a suitcase and a small box. And I was looking out the door. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Are there anything else I could carry?" And he says, "All I need is right there." And so I remember, carrying the suitcase and the box in his room, and I helped him unpack his stuff. And he had maybe like a habit, 2 shirts, a pair of pants or sandals and a pair of shoes. And it was just again those things, and I end up building this relationship with him and talking with him to him during prepandium. And at the end of my postulancy year, he gave me a gift. He gave me one of his shirts,
Oh
which
my gosh.
I
It's like
know,
a third of his possessions.
I know. But the amazing thing is that the shirt, it says like Philippines because he went to the
Oh,
Philippines to give a class at
Oh
the
wow.
Friars there, but it has like blood stains and holes in it.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like a first class relic there.
yeah, seriously.
So I
So
promised
Tito, I
him.
see a box
But
behind you. I know
yeah.
you're in the process of moving. You're gonna do the same thing as Charlie Finnegan?
Oh my
One box?
gosh. Let me tell you, I have more than that. I have a lot more than that. The biggest, most cumbersome thing is two categories. One is my books, and I think I have like
Mhm.
four boxes, pretty good sized boxes, but four boxes of books. I think if I get more than that, I'm gonna have to start shedding books. And then the other thing is brewing equipment.
Mm.
So yeah, but no, but I'm curious. Why would he give you a shirt about the Philippines? What's your connection to that?
Well, all right.
I'm
I thought you
teasing
So,
were
you, brother.
Vietnamese.
I'm teasing. All
oh,
right.
I am Filipino, Spanish, Chinese.
Okay,
I don't.
That's right.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, a Filipino. And so he just gave it to me because he thought
No,
that
that's nice.
it's a nice gesture.
Hmm.
But I wore that T-shirt on my first profession, though. No, yeah, first
Nice.
profession. I wore that, and then it
Nice.
just disintegrated after I washed it.
Shows the same.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay,
Well,
but
pretty meaningful. I mean, I think Charlie Finnegan affected a lot of people, not only as provincial, but he's just a holy man. And the
yeah,
Yeah,
stories I've heard about him, to receive one of his shirts, I mean, that's a rare feat.
yeah.
I know, and to be
No, it is.
professed wearing his shirt too underneath my habit. So I
Uh-huh.
think it was
There
like
you go.
two sizes too small for me, but it's like wearing it's like wearing an extra spank inside.
Now I'm
But I
curious.
wore it.
I want to go back a little bit because you mentioned briefly, working before the Friars and then coming to the Friars. What did you do? I mean, I know the answer, but like, I want to talk about this because what I feel like what you did is very different from what you do now. So, what did you do before you knew the Friars?
Well, I used to work in the city. I was a systems analyst, so for a Fortune 500 financial company.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Those are fake words.
exactly.
So I wrote
Like, what
finance.
do you do on a day-to-day basis?
I write computer codes. I wrote programs for banks. So like when you put your money in the bank and you get deposits and it counts the interest, or when you invest your money, you type it in the computer, but you don't see the things behind it. So I wrote the software on how you count the interest or on all that stuff. I know it's kind of boring stuff, but
So is this like Office
Well,
Space?
right.
yes.
So you could just put a
Okay.
little line of code and it would round properly, and then you'd get like $1 billion in your bank account. You ever try that?
That's a good point. But this was like I'm dating myself. This was like Y2K, like before Y2K happens, and
Hmm.
so like the
Wow.
whole IT industry was like booming.
Yeah.
And so it was a great profession if you're into IT, and I guess I don't know if I can say it, but being Asian just comes natural to me, like numbers and all that stuff.
I don't know if you can say it, but I'm not going to tell you you can't.
I'm not gonna. Yeah,
Okay.
no, we're not touching it.
Right. But it's just, I enjoyed working in New York City. I enjoyed the competitive nature of, the whole corporate corporate job. So it was fun. And then the Friars happened, and once a
Yeah.
friar
So you're an
invites you,
organized person.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
Yeah.
ambitious. You're climbing the ladder.
Right.
I assume you're making good money. You're living in the city. You having a good time. I mean, this is the life.
It was something that you would really care for, and it's just something. Yeah, yeah, definitely. For someone, a migrant from the Philippines, it's like, okay, I am following the American dream. This is what my parents wants me to do. This is, you know, make yourself wealthy, I guess. But I'm Catholic. I'm born raised Catholic, so before I go to work, I always go to mass all the time. And then I just happened, my office got moved from 57th and 7th to 32nd and Broadway, which is, where our mother house was, yes, St. Francis Church. So I remember one winter morning, I was coming out of Madison Square Garden, walking, finding the church, and I saw this line of people. And it was a very cold winter morning, and there's a big line of looking like homeless people, like, very. And then at the very end, right in front of the church, there's like two friars. just and then the warmth in their face of them just giving out the food and just being happy, and it just makes a big impact on me. And then, as I said, once they invited you or they ask you, it's just gonna go on. You just can't shake it off. But it took me 10 years, 10 years,
Yeah. So
five,
talk
Wow.
five.
about that invitation.
Yeah.
How did you go from just like, oh, this is curious, to having a conversation with them? What was it about the friars on the street that interested you?
It's that, the church is not just inside the church, that they're able to bring it out
Mm.
there. Like during the cold winter in New York City, they're able to bring out, goodness and happiness to the people. And, the first conversations I had with the friars that I've met, Michael Carnevale and Vincent Laviana, were they're so human. And there's just something about them that's just attracted me. But at the same time, there's this pull on my own dreams of being in corporate America, of climbing the ladder, like what you said.
Mhm.
And I want to make sure, I want to make sure that all the decisions I make is properly calculated. So I went through five vocation
It's a good
directors.
way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 years of
Did you create a
discerning.
line of code?
I
How do I
did.
discern?
I tried. You know what? That's a good idea. I should write a program,
Computer, a
whether,
There you
computer
go.
program.
yeah,
Enter
yeah,
these values and come out with a conclusion.
exactly. You know.
Uh-huh.
But I remember one of my sessions with my spiritual director, Father Tony Lugalbo. He just says, "Listen, if you expect the heavens to open and Jesus and Saint Francis to come down and says, 'We want you,' he says it's never going to happen. You just have to." It's like, good
Oh,
luck, but
really?
it's never going to
That
happen.
happened to me and Tito.
That was
I
exactly my
knew it.
experience.
Yeah, yeah.
You missed that.
They
No,
tricked
but
me
it's
into
true.
joining.
I think people expect this miraculous experience. They expect the cross to speak to them. It does happen. There are miracles. We hear things like St. Francis having that conversion experience. But I think a lot more times it's like Elijah, who is on the mountain and he hears the crushing winds and the fire and all that. And it says, and God is not in the fire.
Yeah,
But he hears that light, silent sounds. There's something within us that says, I'm dissatisfied with what I have and I know there's something more.
hmm,
And I found that for me with my own kind of ongoing conversion is there's always this pull for the church and always something that makes me feel like I could be better and love more and feel more at home. And I found that with the friars. And it sounds like that's kind of what you were grappling with as well. You didn't know for sure, but something about it just felt right.
right. And then, you just, I went to one of the Come and See weekends, and it just felt good. It felt right. Like, those,
Mm.
what was that game when you shake the puzzle and this thing and then it just falls into the,
Magic 8 Ball?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I should have done
Flip a
that,
coin. Who
There you
knows?
go. Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes you just have to experience it yourself. You just have to, take that leap and do it.
Yeah. That definitely really touches on my own personal experience with discernment. Whereas I had an experience that really kind of jump started the discernment. I had a profound kind of encounter with Christ, and that got me started on like thinking, okay, what am I going to do? But then, I spent a couple of years like getting to know the diocese, and then realizing that didn't work, and then I got to know some friars, and I kept waiting for a repeat of that sort of profound experience, and it never came. And I was just like, well, come on, God, if you want me to do this, you're going to have to tell me what to do. And then I found, after getting to know the friars and really just feeling like, wow, this fits, I felt it slipping away. And I was like, if you're not going to tell me like where to go, then I'm going to join these guys. And if it's wrong, you better stop me.
Hmm.
And I'm still here.
Well,
Yeah.
Michael, you have ironically a story like that. You asked God for a sign and he gave you mixed messages, right?
Oh,
Right.
yeah. So I was asking for, I'm Filipino, and we're all about signs and
We've established
superstitions.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so at one point I asked God, like, Lord, just let me get fired from my work. If I get fired, then I know it's a sign that I'm yours. I'm like 100% yours. I'll commit myself.
Make it easy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I got a promotion in the race.
I love it. I
What
love
do
it.
I do,
So
God?
I know. I was like,
I was like,
you're
oh,
real.
actually, you're good where you are. I'm fine.
I
It's
know.
not you, it's me.
I felt rejected by God when I got the promotion. I'm like, I thank you for the money, but at the same time, I was like, really? Yeah.
Oh man. And what
Yeah.
happened? And what happened when you went in to resign? I love that story.
Uh, s- so nobody knows in the company that I was like discerning into religious order, because if you're in corporate America, the less they know about your religion is almost the better, because
Mm,
there's always a tendency to that clashes between the two
mm,
entities. So when I handed in my resignation, my 2 weeks notice, I got called into the office by the CIO, the Chief Information Officer, um, and he was very upset that I'm leaving the company, and he said, "Well, let's make this work. How much are they giving you?" So I guess he wanted a counter offer. And then I said 150, and he thought it was 150K a year, and he said, "What if we give you 200?" And I almost laughed because I says it's $150 a month as a
Gotta love that stipend.
oh
Oh, I
yeah.
know, right? Because as a postulant, we receive 150 a month as like our
Yeah.
pocket money, and he can't quite understand like what company is giving you 150 and you're not choosing a 200K a year.
Right.
But I just says,
Yeah.
I need to do this. He didn't know where I was going, and then fast forward 8 months later, I was on the front page of the New York Post. Did you hear about?
Wow.
For what?
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
very
Yeah.
important that you
oh,
say
Yeah.
for what.
oh,
Finish the story.
the vocation office is expanding their marketing thing, so they're doing this subway posts, night shift, day shift, life shift, and so I think CBS picked up on it. There was like a TV segment on it, and of course, I got New York Post, which is just a good newspaper.
Nice.
But it's about the
Was there a
vocation
ridiculous
story.
headline like the Yankees or something?
Oh,
A
this is
terrible pun?
this is epic. It's called Friar Escape. That was the
Okay.
headline of the newspaper.
Okay.
I like it.
And
I like it.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
my face,
It could
my
have been a lot
face.
worse.
Oh yeah, but my face was there in the front page. And when you read the paper, it's about young professionals in New York City who's they said escaping life to join
Mm,
the Friars, which I think is not really true. It's not really escaping real life, but
right.
going
No.
deeper into real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I do
that
like
was my.
is that a description or is that a command? Like Friar,
Right.
escape, run.
Well, it was like 2 words, Friars. That's a good one though, right? That's a
Yeah,
good
right,
hashtag.
escape. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great pun.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But there's something great about that because I think there is this kind of allure to New York City. You get, lots of money, you get the fame, you got the whatever, the fun. I think you were kind of living something that a lot of
Mm,
people aspire to. And then you go to make $150 a month and you go to live with old guys
mm.
and you go to serve the poor. This is not what our world would value.
Right.
Uh, why? Just give a reason.
I know it's very counterculture if you say so. Like, young people at this time just wanted, to make a name for themselves, to be better. I don't know. It's just when I remember I was working in the office. It was late evening, and it's all glass office. The windows, and at New York City, it's beautiful at night. You could see all the lights. I was in 32nd, and I could see my reflection on the glass window. And it's one of those evenings. I know, like I should have like a soundtrack playing behind me. I'm realizing, am I really
All
happy?
by
There you go.
myself.
It's like, am I
Yeah.
really happy?
Mhm.
Would I be happy doing this 20 years from now?
Yep.
And it's more like soul searching we're in. It's like, when was the
Mm,
last, I asked myself, when was the last time I was really, really, really happy?
mm,
And I remember 1995, I was back in the Philippines, and I was doing, I was helping people. I
mm.
was like, like not really full on volunteer work, but it's just being out there and, you know, being selfless. And I think that word is very hard to embrace nowadays, because we're all about making name for ourselves, or being the center of attraction, or being the spotlight all the time. But there's so much value in losing yourself in order to give to the others. I don't
What
know
I
if that
like
makes
about
sense.
your story, what I like about your story, and what I've heard other friars echo kind of as a similar sentiment, is the friars who joined after having kind of found success in their careers, shows that this life isn't like a second place thing, or it isn't like I couldn't really do anything else. You guys had success, and you're like, but it's not. I want more. I want something different. I want something with a little bit more meaning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you guys chose to pursue. You had that internal kind of call, that internal orientation towards something deeper, and you pursued it. And I think that that's a great witness to people who kind of, especially in a world today where we highlight, financial success rather than kind of a spiritual success.
Yeah. And the beauty of the order too is that we're not defined by just one specific ministry.
Mhm.
Like I remember when I walked in there, I have two classmates. One has a master, just got his MDiv from Harvard. The other have a pastoral experience, like full on 100% church person. And here I am, a coder. But I remember the friar, again, the beauty of living with friars who had done many ministries is they just encouraged me to just bring your gifts on the table and we will use it the way, that you could help people out. So, I mean, if you look at all the friars, we're not just teachers, we're not just parish priests. There's so much talent in the pool that we use to serve God's people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is about serving God's people. It's about that love. I think there's, as Tito was saying, it's not an escape from love. It's not an
Hmm.
escape from the challenges of the world. It's a desire to live it more deeply. And I think that's hard for people to understand with celibate men of, well, you're not married, you don't have kids, you don't have those kind of intimate relationships, but we do. We do have intimate relationships, just not in that marriage sense. We're intimate in people's suffering. We're intimate in occupational things. We're intimate in the mission of the church. And I think that's much more fulfilling in a lot of ways. It stretches you, but it shows the breadth of God's love.
Right,
Absolutely.
definitely.
And speaking of gifts, and the gifts that we bring, there's one gift that you have that we haven't really discussed yet, and that's your artwork.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my singing. Okay, well, just
We'll get to that one later. Let's talk about your artwork first.
Karaoke.
Because when I first got to know you, I got to know you very early on as an artistic person, and so when I eventually heard that you had worked in IT as a systems analyst or whatever words you made up, I was like, that I don't see how these two things connect.
Yeah.
So how did that work? Have you always been an artistic person, and that was sort of an outlet? How did you kind of move into painting and studying with Robert Lenz and all the stuff?
well, yeah. My mom is sort of an artist, so I got it from her. But growing up, she would always remind me that painting and art is just a hobby. It's not because she
Of
she said
course.
it's just
Yeah.
a hobby. You
Hmm.
Go
know,
get a real job.
Yeah.
she's a Filipino mom or Chinese mom, Filipino Chinese mom, and for her, it's either I'm going to be a doctor, a nurse, or working in IT. So she got what she wanted, but it's good though because it's very hard for you to survive on your art alone. It's very competitive market. Um, so I went on IT, but then going back when um, I was in formation and I have my two classmates. One has an MDiv, other has a pastoral associate experience. I was trying to figure out where am I going? Where do I fit in? What can I offer? I tried talking theology and didn't quite work well with me because that's not who I am. Or I'm trying to be churchy and that's not quite doesn't quite fit with me. And then remember when we were being sent to the Franciscan Institute during the summer? So I was sent to St. Bonaventure to take classes at the Franciscan Institute, and there I met David Hack and Robert Lenz, who are
Okay.
both artists
Mm.
and
Yep.
using art as ministry for them. And so that's where it all started, wherein they really encouraged me. David Hack opened his studio for me to use in the evenings for me to paint, and Robert basically mentored me all throughout formation. And so again, that's the beauty of being in the order. Like most of all of my formators had been so supportive of me really developing my art from, being sent to Parsons during my summer internship to study graphics design, and then finally getting my MFA from the New York Studio School But I think my art is so much grounded because of what I've learned from Robert Lenz, and David. Um, so that's where it all
So
came
obviously an
from.
incredibly talented person,
Hmm.
very famous for his art, and
Hmm.
wonderful to study under.
Yep.
The
But
order has a
very
debt of gratitude to
strict.
him. But yes, but very strict. And when I think of Robert and I think of you, I think of the one story where I believe he downloaded something he wasn't supposed to, or like ordered something he didn't need. He got like scammed. He got
Yes.
Oh,
scammed into like one of those pop-up ads.
oh no.
And so you, being his apprentice, called and like, I can't believe you're taking advantage of elderly people. And Robert was not pleased with that.
Yes. He was shopping online, and those pop-up things that says you have a virus
Oh
on your
yeah.
computer, please click on
Yep.
this. So he clicked. And then I came home from school, and he was talking on the phone, and and this guy, I guess, is from a scammer from India, like what you see on YouTube now. And
Hmm.
Robert is
Yeah.
basically gave him his credit card number,
Oh,
and he was
oh
charged like a
gosh.
hundred something dollars.
Artists.
And
Oh,
so I talked to that guy, and I was like, listen, he's really old and he doesn't know computer. Would you really get? He was only charged like $80 as opposed to 180. So I was like,
oh,
really,
Oh my
dude, please
gosh.
have mercy. He's a monk. He's old. He doesn't know what he's doing. So Robert wasn't
wow.
happy. Yeah.
No, I can't imagine.
No.
Right.
Robert is a very thoughtful, serious, somewhat angry person. And so he has a great sense of humor when he wants to, but I
Right.
can't imagine him taking that well.
Right. But he's such a good teacher, though, right?
Mm,
I said, most like I don't do much iconography now because I felt like I found my own language in art.
Hmm.
But then my training in iconography and my conversations with Robert really fed my art, and it really made it more deeper. It's not, as Robert would say, it's not just pretty, it's beautiful.
Nice.
mm.
That's
Yeah, talking
incredible.
about the transcendentals, the
Right.
beauty, the goodness, the truth
Yeah,
of
yeah,
God. I mean, there's something to beauty that is a window into the experience of God. And so I think you have that opportunity to use that imagination that's not just kind of subjective, here's what I think, but actually is a window into the Holy Spirit that is guided by the Spirit, and you can help people to faith.
right.
Have you had experiences like that where you've painted something and either you or someone else has said, wow, I get it. There's a mystery unlocked for me?
Yeah. When I was in school, it was during when the migrants are crossing the border and they're being put on holding cell. Um, there is a painting that I did called on the border, I think, or on the margins of. I'm sorry, on the margins of, and it's basically a painting of a woman, and the corner of the painting holding a baby, and the woman has this a scared face, but the baby has this really calm and really peaceful face on him. And she's just right there in the corner, and everything is so abstract. Um, and I've used that painting for Advent, and I use my images for retreats or reflections. And that particular one, when I do the presentation on it, they become much more aware of what's been happening, around us. They have a better understanding that, the Holy Family were refugees, they were migrants, and they were dealing
Yep.
with the same issues that, our brother and sister migrants are experiencing right now.
Hmm.
So the art had become, because sometimes words are so restrictive, right? Like if it's written, sometimes it becomes so black and white. But with the images, with paintings, it can grab a much more bigger audience, and understanding why, I guess, it's not so constricted. So if you want to see the paintings, it's michaelreyesofm.com.
Nice.
Got to plug that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know, right?
You got
absolutely.
Yeah.
merch too?
That's right.
Get a
Um,
keychain of Michael's stuff?
well, are you talking about my last gig as being the director of this Franciscan store? I've worn many hats.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, you know what you ought to make now? You ought to do some sort of artwork that you can put into a sticker, because stickers are everything now.
Oh, they are.
Do you have any stickers?
I should be thinking about that. Although I had my face on a T-shirt
Oh,
for one of my
Oh, yeah?
bucket list for Bonifest,
okay.
Fun.
Okay.
for a parish festival. I was again saying yes to many things and trying
Hmm.
everything new.
Hmm.
The last my last assignment, I was in Allegheny, New York. I went there specifically to teach at St. Bonaventure University. I wanted to teach art,
Hmm.
but the parish needed someone to take care of, so someone to take care of it. Kevin asked me, and I said yes, even though I had no idea how to be a parish administrator, right, Casey? Sometimes you have to jump into
Yeah,
it.
that's exactly. It's an
Yep.
interesting transition here because you go for art and you're very talented with that, and
Yep.
you think, maybe it's not going to be your full-time job for the rest of your life. Obviously, you're going to do some other things, but immediately after this, you get thrown into something completely different.
Right.
What is that like? Do you feel betrayed? Do you feel open? Do you feel excited? What goes on when you're like, hey, this is not what I signed up for?
Well, St. Bonaventure Church Parish is special to me because that was my first parish assignment after novitiate.
Mm.
So I spent a summer there. So I kind of know the people, but that was maybe like what, 10 years ago, since I was there, since I was in the parish. But when Kevin asked me if I would consider coming to St. Bonaventure Parish, I said yes in like less than 3 seconds, and he was actually surprised. He said, "Wow, that's the
Oh,
that's the fastest yes I ever had." But I think why not? It's something I enjoyed parish life when I was in Sacred Heart Church for 3 years. I really enjoyed that. I learned a lot. And, you know, I thought that I could do the same, uh, painting and parish work at the same time. I could do them at the same time, but it ended up being a little bit challenging because parish work is not just weekend work, it's 24/7.
mm-mm.
The pipes are not working and the organ, you got to fix the
Yeah.
sewer. Oh, one time
Yeah.
5 minutes before the visual mass, I went back to the back office of the parish office, and the sewer was like all over the ground.
Oh,
So it's one
Oh
of
my
those.
gosh.
So one of those things
Yeah.
where, how am I gonna fix this, right?
I can't
So
remember if you were in the class. I think John Ahern was, but do you remember Monsignor Clay at Catholic University? Did you ever take
yes,
him? So,
yes,
very first day of pastoral theology, he says, "Gentlemen, you've joined this life because you think you're going to save souls, and you may get to that a little bit, but really, you're going to deal with the 5 L's: lights, loot, um, locks, leaks, and loonies." He said, "That's what you're going to spend most of your life doing." He
yep,
said, "Get to know it."
yep, exactly. Yep, I think I remember one time at dinner I was eating with Dominic Monty, Father Dominic, who was the prefect of formation there, and I told Dominic, I wish you just sent me to like a plumbing school or heating and cooling. 'Cause I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I appreciate the 36 credits in philosophy, but
right.
it would have been nice if I knew how to fix a leaky faucet or when the heater in
Sure.
Bonaventure is not working and it's freezing there in the winter. So,
Mm.
Oh,
but yeah, a lot of
yikes.
things there. But yeah, just being open to it. I had a great 19 months there. I remember my obedience letter in the parish. Kevin says, love and serve the people. That's all he asked. And then when I talked to again, I had mentors. Dan Kenna was my mentor. And I asked him, what should I do? And he says, just have fun. Just have fun. And so that's what I did the
Mm.
last 19 months. Just have fun with the people, welcome them, and, you know,
Despite the leaks.
Yeah.
fix the leaks and learn football and become a Buffalo Bills fan. And
Yes. So let's talk
sometimes a
about
Browns
this. You're a
fan.
huge sports fan, right?
Absolutely.
You can't get
Oh
enough
yeah.
sports.
Oh yeah. I still can't figure out.
Playing foosball with your friends.
There you go. Now, in the Philippines, you grew up in the Philippines, and we only have like basketball. Football
Right.
is still weird to me. It's like, okay, there's a whole bunch of guy with a weird shaped ball running back and forth. Yeah,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. But
but
so
But you do have a great connection.
you
You
do
have a connection to
exactly.
football. I remember you coming to me a couple years ago when you were in Tampa, and you
oh,
said, "Oh yeah, they called and asked if I could celebrate mass for one of the NFL teams." And I said, "Oh my gosh, which one?" "Oh, I don't know. It was like a blue team."
yeah. No, he said. I
Like,
think it
what
was
a
blue.
wasted experience on you.
I thought it was blue and
Right.
green,
Yep.
and then it was like horses. That's what I told you, right?
Horses.
Horses. I was like, I don't think there are horses. The
Oh,
Broncos, no.
or
Yeah, we figured
Seahawks.
out
I
it was
think it
the
was Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, because I think you actually said it was a bird of some sort. I was like, well, that doesn't narrow it down.
Right. Well, I'm an artist and I'm all about images and so colors and
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
mascot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're a Bills
So what
fan.
was that like?
It
Yeah.
was fun. I have my 83-year-old Miss Shirley, my 83-year-old outreach director. She's teaching me football. Once in a while, first thing I did was install flat screen TVs on our parish hall, and we would watch the Bills game there. Because if
Mhm.
the game is at 1 o'clock or 12, and you have the 11 o'clock mass, you have to make sure you finish before you make sure it's like a
It's
half
a
an hour
religion.
mass, right?
All right.
Or else your mass is going to be empty. And so what I did is we did a parish gathering and we watched the Bills game together. And Miss Shirley, God bless her, she would scream and yell and she would teach me, okay, Father, now they're going to have to kick the ball on the shape like this, and I'm still learning. Hey, yeah. And now I'm going to be a Bucks fan, I guess, because Buccaneers, right, for Tampa.
Oh,
That's right.
Bucks. Yeah, I thought you were saying like boxer. Yeah.
Oh,
Go
Yeah.
back to the Bucks.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's my
there you
team.
go. Oh,
Tampa
see, yeah.
Bay.
There you go. So maybe learn a little hockey as well. We'll see.
Nice.
Well, it also helps you with empathy because you just learn the depression
Yeah.
of Buffalo fans.
Oh.
And
Oh
you get the
yeah.
sorrow of the Psalms every time you watch them.
Oh
Oof.
yeah. And I have to say, go Bills at the end of every match if there's a game. Because if I don't and the team loses, it's Father's fault. So, but they're great.
Of course.
Oh goodness.
They're great people though. They're great people.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. Yeah. And again, it's being open. Um, being open and leaping to the unknown sometimes allows you to discover things about yourself that you didn't know you can do. And I think that's our life as friars, is being open.
Yep. I think that really symbolizes, how I know you as someone who's just open. I first met you when I was still in Immaculate Conception province,
Hmm.
and we were at the Franciscan Institute going in the summer at Bonaventure just before going to novitiate, and I had become friends with Ramon and Will, and we were talking food all the time, and they're like, well, we're gonna have
Two
lunch.
Filipinos.
Yeah, we're gonna have lunch with another Filipino brother. If you want to come over and help us cook, and I was like, sounds great. And I come over, and there's you, and I get to meet you, and I get to meet Sister Pita as well,
Hmm.
and it was an experience. I mean, you just sort of greeted me as if you'd always known me, which made me feel comfortable, and then I just got to kind of get
It's only
involved.
because he thought you were someone else.
I
Forgot
thought he
your
was
name.
Filipino.
I still
Oh,
need to
part of the
learn.
family.
I still
Oh,
need
he's
to
one of
learn like
us.
Tagalog. Um, but Sister Pita would be very disappointed that I don't speak Tagalog yet.
Hmm. Sister Pepita is a Franciscan sister. She's like 4'11", but she
Yeah,
ran that kitchen like,
she
you
did.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Supposedly
yeah.
you were cooking, but really we were cooking for her.
Right. She was telling us how to cut the vegetables properly and meat properly. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
And
That
I'm
was a
sure it
fun
was
summer.
delicious. You're getting me hungry right now for
it
some
was.
pancit and
Oh,
Lumpia.
lumpia.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing is it's almost like wherever you go, there's a cluster of Filipinos in the
hmm,
area, and there
yeah,
And there
there's
always are.
that's
yeah,
true. That's
yeah.
true.
I'm pretty sure like in Macon, there's probably a whole bunch of Filipinos there, right?
Hmm.
In Siena,
Yep. You
yeah,
sneak up and you're like, oh, there's like 50 of them here. And they have
yeah,
a devotional community.
That's
And oh,
right.
wow, look at that.
Yep.
definitely. So that's great.
So where are you now? So
Yeah.
you're down in Tampa. You're working. You live in St. Petersburg. You're working in Tampa. You left the parish, which you hadn't planned on doing, but again, open to something new.
Hmm.
Exactly.
What's the future look like for you?
Well, right now I am working at the Franciscan Center. I am the associate director for missions here. The Franciscan Center is a retreat house that was established by the Franciscan Sisters of Allegheny. So we're stationed here in Tampa Bay, right beside the beautiful Hillsborough River. And so I am creating programs, making sure they're in line with the Franciscan charisms. I did a paint and sip, or painting with Father Michael. Not Let's not call it paint and sip. Um, but like a painting with Father Michael evening. It's like an evening where people can just come and paint. But then I realized that, hey, if you're sipping a little wine, it makes you a better painter because you're more relaxed and you're
That's
not
right.
you're not scared of making mistakes.
Hmm.
So those are the programs I did. I'm probably going to be doing some artist retreat programs here. Um, and then, just creating more programs to invite people in. The center has been here since the 70s, and it's just a great place to come and just be. You know, our tagline at the center is "Find your center." So it's kind of like cool though.
There you go.
So
Nice.
yeah. So hopefully, I am putting together my studio here at the center and in St. Petersburg, and I hope to go back to painting. I haven't painted in the last 19 months since I was in the parish. So I was opening all the boxes and again smelling the paints and being inspired is just a great thing. So
What's
looking
your
forward to
trigger?
that. Yeah.
You're gonna wake up in 6 days with a giant fresco in your room, like,
Yeah.
where'd this come from?
Oh,
I
I
was
know,
just in
it's
a
funny.
trance.
Those friars were like, "Oh, so you're a painter? Here, give me a roller because my room 219 needs a fresh paint." I was
Paint
like,
my room.
wrong kind of painter, but yeah, more than happy to do that.
Yeah. No, you say, okay, sure, I'll do that. It's gonna take 6 months,
Yep.
and I'm gonna need a $10,000 budget.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because I use a lot of gold leaf too, so that's
There
expensive.
you go. There you
That's
go.
there you go. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. So thank you for your life, your joy. You are always a wonderful person to be around. You're always someone who's smiling and laughing, making me laugh, and then making me wonder with not only your singing, but your artist work and your desire to be with people. It's always a joy.
Well, thank you for having me. That's a great time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I figured Tito would say something, but obviously he's got some beef with you and he's not going to compliment
I
you before
mean,
you go. So we'll
When you
cut it
come
off
down here,
there.
Tito, I'll make you some pancit.
you know what I really want? I want sinigang. I haven't had
Oh, there's a
sinigang
nice soup.
since novitiate.
All right, well, we'll make you
Mm.
those. There's
Yes.
tons of
Field
Filipino
trip.
restaurants in Tampa.
Oh, I have to go back. I haven't been there in years.
You guys have to come back and do something for the Franciscan Center.
Sounds good.
Sure, let's do it. Thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
So Tito, truly one of a kind, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely is.
Just his artistic work and his personality. I'm curious your experience with him over the last couple of years.
I mean, there's always a sense of like deep fraternity with Mike, where I met him one time, and then when I saw him later, he was like, Tito, and he was just so happy to see me, or just remembered me, and which of course made me feel great, because it was just one experience that I had with him prior to that. And there is an openness, not just to like wherever God's leading him, but to whoever he encounters. And that's one of the things that I really admire about Mike.
Yeah, and absolutely captures the Franciscan spirit, I think, of that
Absolutely.
inclusivity, that welcome, that hospitality, that love, that peace. Throw him anywhere, I think he's going to be successful.
Yes, he is.
So always good to see the brothers. Wonderful to have this technology to connect, even though we're so far away. We thank all of you for watching at home. This is what, our 14th episode or so.
Something like that.
We got only about like 600 more to go. So
That's right.
we're chipping along.
Yep.
Liz, I
That's-
hope that you're enjoying this.
Yes. I'm going to see her later today, so we'll find out for sure. And the next time you see me, I'll have a different background.
All right. Well, bye, Tito, and hi, Liz.
Hi, Liz.